Welcome back to the 2 Months Hockey Podcast presented by Kentwood Ford. I am your host, Joshua Marshall, and we have a good special guest with us. He is a featuring co host with us. His name is Nick. We were just saying that's the Dallas Stars goal horn, and they jump on in overtime as we get going to do a post game pod. But anyway, sorry, Nick, for cutting it off there. But how's it going, buddy?
Oh, pretty good. That was probably the best introduction I'll ever have because the goal horn went off literally as you announced me. So it's not going to get any better for me than that.
Exactly. And then we have our original co-host. He is the mutt number two. He is wearing his wolf pack hat. He is wearing his parachutes for pets hoodie. And you can find that link to get one of those hats on our link in our bio with Philip Stockley. Philip?
Yeah, where's my goal horn?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait until October for the Flames goal horn, right? So, but unfortunately on that one, but we'll see how that goes. But so yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of people listening. We have 5 tickets to give away. We're going to kind of add those in as the podcast goes on. We're not going to be super long tonight because it is late. These guys got things to do in the morning and whatnot. So I know fans are tuning in to find out who gets a set of tickets. And before we go, we're going to do it in little sections, and we're going to hand out our first set of tickets right now before we jump into everything. So through Facebook, and thanks to our friends at Boston Pizza for donating these tickets and helping us get this going and helping us build up some followership on our podcast. So we really appreciate them for doing it. I think we have something for game 4. I have to check, but for definitely for game 3, the first winner is Kurt Flair off Facebook. So that was pulled from the owners of Boston Pizza, and so thanks to them there for doing that. And now, as we go through, we'll keep announcing the winners. So keep in mind that's how we're going to do it throughout the podcast. And so we have 5 winners. The first one is Kurt Flair. So Kurt, we sent you a message here to let you know you want tickets. So we'll wait to hear back for you to pick those up. But Phil, Nick, yeah, let's get to our Edmonton Oilers report. Sponsor our friends at Shadified Salon and Barbershop. They are the official barber of the Edmonton Oilers and the official barber of us as well too. And you can go to the 3 locations they have here in Edmonton to check them out. So they have 3 amazing locations and a great staff at every single location. And Connor Brown was just there just before they flew to Los Angeles, and as they fly home, down 2-0 in this series. There's a segment that I love on Overdrive. We're going to kind of take it a little bit. I don't know if you guys are, I know it's still content, but they are friends of our podcast. But insert the level of concern in Edmonton Oilers country here in oil country, Nick. Where is your level of concern as an observer and maybe a fan of the Edmonton Oilers coming down 0-2?
Uh, I'll be honest with you. Tonight didn't look great, but I wouldn't be overly concerned. Um, you always know playoffs are always, yeah, until you lose at home, you're usually okay. I mean, eventually Edmonton obviously is going to have to win at least one game in Los Angeles, but I think coming back home, they can leverage off the experience they got last year in the Stanley Cup final where they were down 3-0 and they almost came back and won that series. And I would argue that Florida is a much better hockey team than this LA team. Obviously, the Oilers are a little bit different, but I wouldn't be overly concerned at this point. So now a lot of Oiler fans might disagree and might think that they're in trouble, but I do not.
And where's your level of concern at, Phil?
Kind of in the same boat. Oilers come home. I was just looking this up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the LA Kings, they've only lost 6 games in regulation this whole season, right, at home?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's like obviously a tough building to play in. Um, they were like a minute away from overtime last game, and again coming back. I thought the comeback was on again tonight for the Oilers. At the end of the day, one team has to be down 2-1 at some point. If the Oilers can make it 2-1, um, I think they need to get a win at home here. Obviously, if they don't, they're done. sweep. But yeah, I don't anticipate a sweep. I really do think the Oilers are going to be able to, it might be a quiet flight home, but I don't know. I think they're going to regroup. You never want to all the media here in Edmonton just keep saying it, right? You never bet against Connor and Leon, so
You don't. You definitely don't. They are a well-oiled machine in terms of those two guys. But I think McDavid was held off the score sheet tonight. At the end of the day, the numbers don't lie, and Stuart Skinner is not a playoff goalie. He has the worst save percentage and goals against among active goaltenders in the postseason. And it's weird saying it because this guy just took a team to a Stanley Cup final of a game seven. Um, we had Doug McLean on our previous episode, and he touched on why he's still a good goaltender. And obviously, he's got another year left at 2.6 million. I know, Nick, before we hit record, you had some stats, some things that you had kind of wanted to share on. And I think you were saying the Kings look like a more matured team in terms of what they've been able to do. I think you were saying, if not, I put words in your mouth and made that up. But is that something you feel, you see, and you're observing? And can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Just kind of what I was talking about is, a lot of the MO with this Oiler team, during the McDavid playoff era has been they're always talking about, the lessons learned and, how it's going to make them better down the road, but you never actually see them really learning that quickly. And then what really impressed me tonight about LA was they really learned from game one, where in that third period in game one, they took their foot off the gas and they almost, it was almost a historic blow. They almost historically blew it. And tonight, you see they get up three, then all of a sudden it's 3-2. But LA never really took their foot off the gas. They learned that lesson from game one. And even with 6 minutes to go, they're on the power play and they got their top unit out there because they're not taking any chances. And that to me just shows that, they're mature and they're actually implementing what they're learning. They're not just talking about learning, but they're actually implementing it. They're actually like, okay, we can't mess around with these guys because they will embarrass us, just like they almost did at the end of game one.
Yeah, they've been the better team the whole series. The Oilers had a 22-minute stretch between the end of the second period of game one and obviously that third period. But tonight there's just not anything there. I thought it was one of their worst efforts of the season. I thought for a team that is supposed to be matured and poised and all that, I thought they all came unglued. Adam Henrique's penalty, that you can't take that, especially just previous 10 seconds later. The refs are watching everything that's going on between you and Byfield, and obviously Quentin Byfield's got under every single Oilers skin. And then Pot goes and got kicked out of the game, and just unhinged. And from a lot of players, I'm not going to say every single player, but from a lot of players, you wouldn't expect that at Adam Henrique, a veteran type player who's gone to a couple Stanley Cup finals in his career, and a proven winner. So it's like, it's tough. I think some positives. Kane played good. And I get it. Hey, Tyler Yaremchuk on Twitter trying to blame this on the refs. That's a bad look, man. You can't make that comment. You can't put that tweet out. Like, this isn't on the refs. This is definitely on the Oilers. The refs aren't feeding the LA Kings power plays because for no reason. Those are legit penalties. The Oilers got away with quite a few as well tonight that they could have been called, so there could have been more. And it goes both ways. It all evens itself out throughout a whole regular season and a whole 20-game playoff segment if you're going right to the Cup final, or even a 7-game series. Phil, your kind of thoughts going forward here? Like is Pickard the goalie of record for the rest of the series, or do you see Skinner in the net again?
Yeah, you saw Skinner after, like, obviously you're going to be rattled after that type of a game. But just what I was going to say about this whole thing, I just feel like LA is making the Oilers pay on every mistake they make, and they're really taking advantage of their opportunities. Um, you know, and yeah, like some of those shots, like you even look at the game winner the other night in LA, the Philip Deneau goal, like. I don't know, man. Like, does that shot need to be saved, or is like,
He needs to save it. He needs to save it for sure. And I know I'm kind of going some like we're a very typical kind of podcast in terms of trying to be positive, but it's just it's a tough broadcast to listen to in terms of like, hey, they're putting McDavid out early on the penalty kill, and the Kings have got something to worry about. And then twice the Kings put the puck in the back of the net on the power play when McDavid's out there. Like, is that like he's not typically a penalty killer? Now he's all of a sudden the penalty killer in the playoffs, and the LA Kings are scoring goals. Like, I'm trying. I know Knobloch's trying everything he possibly can do, but this Kings team is a different team. And the city in this Edmonton, like we're in Edmonton. I'm not trying to piss fans off, but like you got to respect every single team in the playoffs. They make the playoffs for a reason. It's hard to make the playoffs. Like half the league doesn't make it. So
well, and LA was the better seed too.
yeah, like they were literally legitly a better team. Kemper's a really good goaltender. He doesn't give up much. You got him in game one, but he bounced back in game two. And I agree. Like Rashog made the great point on Twitter. Like you got to get a save. You got to get a save at a big moment. When your team gives up plays, it's often in the back of the net. At some point, you got to get a goaltender that bails you out. He can't do it. So you're going to move on to the next guy. And, I don't think anyone had Calvin Pickard on the bingo card leading this team to a Stanley Cup final again in back-to-back years. So there's tons of pressure, and the pressure gets more. It's a must win, obviously, come Friday night. And like what lineup changes do you make, Nick? Do you put Cam Dineen in? Is Derek Ryan coming in? Is Jeff Skinner coming back in? Like where are you at with the roster moves? I thought Klingberg played pretty decent, to be honest. But
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the only thing I would look at is the goaltending change. And I mean, if I'm the Oilers at this point, I'm taking it a game by game process, sort of like what Carolina's done in the past, where they're not necessarily going to keep riding the same guy. Even Boston, when they had Allmark and Swayman, they took it game by game. I think Edmonton's going to have to do that. I don't know, like, I mean, maybe you take Jeff Skinner or you put Jeff Skinner in the lineup, but I don't know if he to me isn't has never been, a player that I would think would thrive in the playoffs. And obviously he's only played the one game and then he got taken out again for tonight's game. I don't know if he's going to change anything. Defensively, I would leave the D as it was. There's maybe you need to once again manage a little bit of Bouchard's minutes. I'm not sure how much exactly he played tonight, but I mean, there was a couple of goals where he had the best seat in the house just watching. Even on the sixth goal, like he took away that pass, but he was backed in so far that and Adrian Kempe in his first goal was an unreal shot. The second goal was even better,
yeah,
on that play. And there's a couple of times again tonight, like I said, Bouchard just best seat in the house, just not being aggressive enough in front of the net. And I mean, it's not that he's small, like he's big and he's seems to be pretty strong. He can shoot the puck really, really well, but he just hasn't learned the playoff defensive style yet. And I don't think he's aggressive enough. But I mean, until they get Ekholm back, I don't think they have anybody that
yeah.
can really be that guy.
Yeah, and hey, the Kings felt this 4 years ago with no Drew Doughty, and they were able to pull it to a game seven. Now, this still could go to 7 games, and you're not getting Ekholm back anytime soon. I was told today that he could start skating later next week if the series goes on to that point, but as of now, he's still not skating, and but you're not getting him back this round from the sounds of it, unless he's going to go out there and try to play at any percentage, which you would maybe take. But from what I know from what the injury is, it's not something he can play through right now. Philip, Adrian Kempe, he just does it to this team every year, regular season, playoffs. How do they find a way to stop him? Because he is obviously a tough build for the Oilers to kind of shut down right now.
Yeah, I have no idea, and I think that's going to be a large assignment on the Oilers coaching staff is how to deal with that guy. But I was going to ask you guys how important has that trade been with Kuzmenko joining this team?
It's huge, man. It's huge. He was a healthy scratch at times throughout the year in Calgary and never really got his footing in Philadelphia and lights out coming to LA. Nick, you want to chime in on that as probably well too.
Oh yeah, you know what? And I mean, like I was actually because obviously I'm a Flyers fan when Kuzmenko was going there, I was actually a little bit excited about it. But it clearly, wasn't a good situation. The whole Philadelphia stuff could be dissected later. But I mean, you put him on a line with two pretty good skill guys with Kempe and Kopitar. I mean, those guys combined for 10 points tonight.
Yeah.
Like it's, they got what, 4 goals and 10 points. Like
Yeah.
that's really good. And LA got him not for very much, and he's been pretty good. Like obviously, like he's really fit in with those two guys. And in the past, maybe LA hasn't had the most depth, but he certainly adds it. And then your second go around here with your second line is Fiala, Byfield, and Laferriere. Like that's a pretty good top six, like pretty underrated
Yeah.
for me. And then your third line is fast with Fogle and Dano and Morse. So like to me, that top nine is pretty good. And Edmonton, they obviously loaded up. They went to the nuclear option again tonight, and it's hard to beat deep teams when you're loading up one line and the rest of your lineup's a little bit thin.
Yeah. Let's handle two more sets of tickets. So that'll be 4 tickets in total. From Spruce Grove, Stephen Lewin wins off of the subscription that he's done on YouTube. So thanks to Stephen for doing that. And X/Twitter, we have Patrick McKinnon from St. Albert. He is from Pulled off there. So thanks to those two people. So that's 3 so far. We got 2 more to hand out. We'll do those at the end of our podcast. So keep in mind, we'll hand out the last 2 as we close out the podcast. I believe there's one that's going to be donated to charity because we just reached out to that person and they just said they can't go. So they're looking at wanting to donate their tickets to a charity. So we'll clear that up as we get to that part. But let's so it's tough. Biz started he started a war on Twitter, Philip, because it is all over the place. This McDavid leaving Edmonton, can he put up with it more? It is kind of ignited the Edmonton media here. We all know what Biz is about. He's been on our podcast before, Phil. You were there with us with that interview. You can't believe in any of this stuff, right? Like, his former agent is running the organization. The best head coach he's ever had in his career is the current head coach right now. He's building multiple businesses here in Edmonton. I can't see this guy leaving. Like it's only 2 games. Like the series is not over. But where are you at with Biz? And he just likes to get people riled up, doesn't he, Phil? Or did we lose Phil? I think we lost Phil.
Sorry, I'm having a bit of audio issues here. Hang tight.
All right. We'll go to you for that.
Go to Nick for a sec.
Nick, you heard that there. Let's go to you in your knowings of Paul Bissonnette, Biz Nasty.
I think it's funny. I mean, like he can draw anybody into anything, and like obviously, like for me personally, I don't think Connor McDavid is going anywhere. I feel like he's likely going to retire as an Oiler. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah.
But I think what, it's hilarious when somebody is out there and Connor didn't have the best game tonight, held off the score sheet, like you said. But I mean, he's not going anywhere. But, and the fact that like Edmonton media is all over it, like, how about you just leave it? Like, let the guy say whatever he wants. I'm sure those guys are way more connected to the team than Paul Bissonnette is. I'm sure, maybe not. But I mean, he's not going anywhere, especially not after this.
Yeah. The last podcast Connor ever did was Biz Nasty's podcast during COVID, which was quite some time ago. He's never ever done another podcast since. So he doesn't even do like the 32 Thoughts podcast, and it's not like it's anything he hates those guys or anything like that. It's just he's just pretty set way in terms of how he deals with things. He's not leaving. I'd be very, very surprised if this guy leaves the city of Edmonton.
He's leaving, bud.
What do you have to say to that? So,
no, that whole thing is, kick a guy when they're down, don't. It's probably not the right time to be discussing it, but
it is right now because he's all over Twitter. I just thought, business of friends. I thought we'd give him a little plug to play, but definitely I wouldn't. And some fans know we don't live podcast their stuff, but we do have a lot of DMs coming through in terms of is this for real? So just wanted to Dan Pollard and a few other friends of the pod are messaging us and asking questions about it. You're gonna hear this.
If Yeah, McDavid's not sitting on the bench, making his mind up right after this game, saying I'm leaving the city. So
Not happening. No. Um, so where we at, Nick, in terms of what's the adjustment the Oilers need to do to shut down this Kings power play, which is a 5 forward power play unit? It's lethal. It's what's winning them these two games. How could they shut this down? Their PK has not been good all year. It was lights out, obviously, last year into the playoffs. But where do you think some adjustments can be made in terms of what you're seeing and what you know about the game that maybe they can do? I don't know, personnel wise, system wise, where can some adjustments be made?
You know, I think for me, they just need to be a little bit more aggressive, like pushing towards guys. LA, they don't really they move the puck, they pass the puck, but they don't really move their feet. Like what Edmonton's power play, they're moving around. I would, I look back to what their penalty kill was last year in the playoffs with, guys like Connor Brown and Henrique and Janmark. And, maybe they just need to bring up some game film from that and just show those guys the impact that they had and just the way that they were playing. Like they were playing way faster last year. They were creating turnovers in their own zone and scoring shorthanded goals. Like I think they need to play more urgent and a little bit more aggressive, just as a whole. And whether it's penalty kill or 5-on-5, just play more urgent. I think for me, because like even tonight, when they made it 3-2, I didn't think that they. Yeah, I think they thought that LA was going to fold up, and I didn't see Edmonton just wasn't. They didn't play with enough desperation. I didn't think tonight. And I mean, the rest of the series now, they got to win 4 to 5 games. So the rest of the series now, if they don't play with any desperation, they're in trouble.
Yeah. And we've seen them do that before. It's obviously not the same team, but for the most part, a lot of the big parts have been here and are continued to be here. And they can elevate when they need to. So there is something to draw back on there. What did you think, Nick, on that Byfield goal? Nurse kind of standing watching, and then Bouchard just not closing in at all, just really just letting that 2-on-1. And I know as a defenseman, sometimes you're just like, okay, take the back door away, let the goalie have the 1-on-1. But is there an adjustment, a change that you would like to see in that, or was that play just it's an all world play and there's no other way you could really defend it?
No, I mean, I mentioned it earlier with Bush. He's to me, he's got to be a little bit more aggressive. Like, especially when your goaltender is struggling. What doesn't matter which one is. Like, they've given up 12 goals in 2 games here. Like, when your goaltending is struggling, maybe you don't just take away the pass and let the guy shoot, right? Like maybe you're a little bit more aggressive and you do your best to at least get your stick on a puck or something just to disrupt the play a little bit rather than sitting back. Because and I like I said, Bouchard did that on a few goals tonight. And he needs to, I just think that he needs to be a little bit more aggressive. When your goalie's struggling, the least amount of shots you can allow on him, the better.
Yeah. Phil, where's your adjustments? What's your keys to changing the momentum of this series? And obviously, we know what this city can do and the fan base can do, and we know that what that arena can do when they get going. They will be fired up, knowing they are down 0-2, but the fan base here will definitely give them a pick me up, and that first 10 minutes of that game is going to dictate probably the outcome of the rest of the series, right?
yeah, they've just got to feed off of that home rink now. Like Rogers Place has to be pumping for game 3 and um adjustments. I would just if I'm the coaching staff of the Oilers, I'm just gonna tell these guys like you guys are more than capable of winning this series. And Nick said it earlier, like he still thinks the Oilers have a really good shot of winning this series. I don't disagree with him. I think the Oilers can for sure come out and do their thing, and Leon and Connor make everybody awe everybody again and do their thing and win this thing for them. But
Do you separate
um,
or do you keep them together, Philip?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not gonna lie. It's almost as if the Kings have kind of figured it out a little bit, but I don't know. Connor McDavid always does something to kind of surprise you, do something new. So I don't know. I just wouldn't count them out. That's all.
And what about you, Nick? Where do you go here with the lineup? Do you go McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, Henrique down the middle, or do you keep McDavid and Draisaitl together? Where do you go for Game 3 here?
Well, that's the question that's cost how many coaches their jobs here because nobody's been able to figure out the right recipe for that, and at this point, I mean, I'm thinking it's desperation time. I'm putting probably McDavid, Draisaitl, and probably Hyman on the top line. You know, Kane, I thought was like you mentioned earlier, he was fine tonight. You put him back out there with Nugent Hopkins and Arvidsson maybe or a Perry or somebody that's also a little bit heavier. And I think they're gonna have to forget about trying to score a highlight reel goal and just their two goals tonight were good plays from the point. One was the first goal was a nice feed to Draisaitl, who was just off to the side of the net, nice deflection. The second was the Arvidsson goal. They're gonna have to score just some greasy goals just to get some confidence back, I think, for them. And but yeah, I'm keeping the two big guys together for sure.
Yeah. Stoff just dropped a huge tweet. Every aspect of the Oilers game tonight was second best. It's time to dig in. So, and the dig in was in all capital letters. So, no excellent.
Oh, they'll be digging in, all right.
Obviously, a point of reference to what happened. What we saw behind closed doors last playoffs with the Amazon series. Yeah, I think they're in one. I don't I didn't have them winning this series. I don't see them coming back in this series. Do I think it's a sweep? No chance. I still think at some point they get something here. But like you say, you got to win at least one in LA. If not now, you got to probably maybe win two if you're going to go seven. But the way these Kings are playing, the way they're like we got to keep in mind, guys, the Kings played with 17 players tonight. Like pretty much, they dressed 7 defensemen, 11 forwards. So they really didn't they were a short bench tonight too, which was interesting to do because a friend of the pod and Trevor Lewis, like he's very well capable of keeping up. And they're not going to get Tanner Janot, another friend of the pod. They're not going to get Janot until next round. So if they get there, but yeah, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of hockey to be played still. I know there's some series that are up 2-0. It would be a disservice and an injustice to see some of these series go to the wayside in terms of a sweep. Like Montreal's right there. It was a tough loss for them tonight, but they got to stay focused, stay ready. They're going to get a pick me up going back to the Bell Center. We know that these guys are going to get pick me up coming back to Edmonton. Nick, you're confident that this series is going back to LA 2-2. It could be a homer series and then we just play game 7 and see how it goes. It has happened. Like there's nothing to say that would not happen. So let's see where this all ends up going here. There will be adjustments. Knobloch's in one. The coaching staff's in one. They have a day off here. They'll travel tomorrow. They'll look at film. They'll look at a lot of things. Maybe there's some roster changes to be had. We will close out as we speak here. We'll just get you guys' final thoughts. Where we're at here in terms of things. Anything you want to add, Nick, before we close out, and what you can see, what you want to say, system-wise adjustments?
I mean, for me, honestly, it's not really about Edmonton, LA, but the Central Division looks like an absolute wagon right now. Like, I mean, just the way Minnesota, like Kaprizov last night, the way he took it to Vegas, and just those two series in the Central right now, like that division looks like an absolute wagon. And I think I underappreciated how good that division was this year, maybe because they have Chicago in it. But like I watching those teams, and every game is hard, heavy, close. Like the Dallas, Colorado, and St. Louis, Winnipeg series both look to me like just vintage playoff hockey. They've been so much fun to watch.
Minnesota Vegas, like I know that's one specific one central team there or whatever, but you can almost say that series too. Like the Minnesota Wild, like they came in limping, but they got everyone healthy.
Yep.
Going to be they're not going to be an easy out. They're going to be a hard out. So, Phil, you want to add anything?
Just has Jackson and Bowman made this team better this year? Like that's just like the ultimate question. And Jimmy Ward from the Cheap Seats podcast, he's talking to me today, and he's like, they just torched their young guys for journeymen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really what they've done. How good would Holloway look in this series right now?
Yeah. Obviously, he's hurt for St. Louis, but if he was healthy, Broberg and all that too. So,
Yeah,
I think
it's like you.
Bob Stauffer said with his hit on Tuesday with Elliot Friedman, which is on Oilers Now, and it's sponsored by Abe's Door Service. They're great interviews that they do. Bob's goes this season could be based on what happened on July 1st. And that was not Stan Bowman because Stan didn't come in until after that. That was all Jeff.
Yeah.
So, that like as you say, there's tough consequences. We know this owner is a very demanding owner. Like in Kate's, we know he's a results guy. He wants big results. And he was in the arena last night and tonight. And he's there. He's with the team. He's traveling with them. His advisor is on the bench in Paul Coffey. So he's got someone right in the meat of things, right, seeing it right up close and personal.
But,
yeah.
But it's even like you look at the trade deadline, like what did they acquire? They acquired Frederick, who could be serviceable, but he's obviously dealing with something, right? And
a great intermission piece, right? Unfortunately, he's laboring. And then you had Wallman, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so is it like you look at what happened with the offer sheets, and it's like, is Stan Bowman trying to work with what he's got because teams aren't wanting to work with him? Like what is it? Because you'd think he'd add something else at the deadline to bolster his team a little bit, but I don't know. I just don't feel like those moves at the deadline really move the needle and make your team better.
So it's funny you say that, Phil, because I know we're trying to wrap up here, but there was an article earlier on the Journal. I can't remember who wrote it, but they said that the lineup that the Oilers were icing tonight was the best lineup they felt on paper in the McDavid era.
Well, Rashad on Struddy's World with Rashad and Jason Strudwick and Zuby, they did say that too. So it was the narrative that was out there. I think even on the oil stream with Gazzola and Nielsen, it was the same thing. Like everyone in this city was saying it.
But I mean, like you look at the guys that like, I mean, no Ekholm, who's probably their most important player after McDavid and Draisaitl. Like yeah. I looked at the lineup, but I mean, I thought it was fine. But if I'm just going to sit here and say, okay, if I'm looking at the roster they had last year in the Stanley Cup final versus the roster they had tonight, I'm taking last year's team all day.
Like Cody Ceci does not get enough love, guys. Like he is a whipping boy in most cities he goes to, even in Dallas, which isn't the hockey hotbeds, but he's a proven winner. Like he's done good for the Dallas Stars. Like that's another guy we're not giving a lot of love to. And, you guys just talked about Broberg and Holloway, where the importance that they made. And we just seen Warren Fogle have at least 2 or 3 points tonight, and he was a difference maker, and he had a career year in LA. So like your trade for Fogle was Arvidsson as a mistake. Like that's all day.
Even McLeod too, right? How good would he look right now on this team?
Yeah. So
he'd help their penalty kill.
You sure would.
Exactly.
So, all right, let's hand
Anyways,
2 more winners and let's close out the pod. Off of Instagram, we have Susan Holford as our winner. and those tickets will be donated to the Big Brothers Big Sisters in Edmonton. I believe she's reaching out to them. And then the last one off TikTok is Stephen Blathorn, and he is in Calgary. So it looks like he'll be making his way up for the game. So thanks to everyone for taking part of it. I know we gained a lot of followers. Continue to follow us. If you feel like you unfollow us, it's all good. There's no hurt feelings in terms of that. We appreciate the support. There will be giveaways for something for game 4, so stay tuned to our social media for that. Anyone that's continued to follow us, we're going to continue to do that and help out, give back, and we appreciate the support. And thanks to our friends at Boston Pizza Canada for helping us out towards the end of the season here on our giveaways. Kind of sucks because we had the same thing for the Flames. If the Flames made it, they would have had some tickets given away too. So
next year.
Good stick taps to Ryan Huska, who will be on the bench in Denmark and in Sweden for Team Canada. So that was announced today. He'll be a part of the coaching staff there. And obviously Michael Backlund, who is the captain of the Flames, will be playing for Team Sweden. So some good omens going on there in terms of those guys reaching out. Our minor hockey awards, they're closing out. There was a glitch in the voting. So we had to pause the voting and all that. So everything is fixed now. But there was, for some reason, I don't know. I'm thinking it was a glitch, but there was one kid who had over 3,000 votes. And for 7 hours straight, I had notifications on my phone for the same kid for all these votes. And the system creates that you can only vote once. And I don't know how he received in, 7 straight hours. It was quite the ordeal on my phone. So I have it all on my phone to show if people don't believe me, but it's quite crazy. But anyways, that closes out on April 29th. And Elliot Freeman from Hockey Night Canada and Rogers Sportsnet will be announcing all those winners. There'll be 8 winners. He'll be announcing those winners on May 2nd on our podcast. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. We were going to ask everyone that's the award's named after to announce it, but it didn't seem like the right thing to do. But at least they'll be there to do a presentation and a picture. So the awards, they look pretty good. They're just getting made up. The last thing we need to do is put the names, because the kids that win it, their name will be on there. So we just created some of the parts of it first. So now we're just closing out the votes. So there's a lot of tight races. So continue to cast your votes until the 29th on midnight. It will close. So thanks to our to Sheena Boychuk Real Estate for helping be the presenting sponsor for our minor hockey awards for the first annual. Nick, are you going to be in Red Deer starting tomorrow and throughout the weekend for the U15 Alberta Cup?
I will be there tomorrow, but my spring team is at a tournament this weekend, and I'm the coach, so I'll be back. I'm just going for the day tomorrow, so I get to see 4 out of the 6 teams play twice, and a couple of teams only play once. But I've watched the kids all year, so
nice. Yeah, you'll that'll be kind of cool to kind of be around that.
Then Ryan Huska's kid is there, so Luke will be playing. So
we'll be playing, and we are going to announce awards for that. The 3 stars of the month. There's one more 3 stars of the month to be added. So a lot of it is based on what these kids are doing in this little tournament. So we'll add. I think that's kind of how we're actually going to do it. Is this little showcase for them? You guys have anything to add as we sign out? Anything you guys want to say? Not say? I don't know. You guys good?
Go Leafs.
Yeah,
I'd like to the Leafs, and
first time
I don't
ever.
know, I'm rethinking my St. Louis Blues to beat the Jets upset. So
Get them all. So
sorry, I picked New Jersey, and they don't look like they have any chance. So
we had Elaine Waugh on earlier. That interview will drop on Friday. Elaine Waugh. We have Kevin Rooney, the Roon Dog, coming up. We have Joel Hanley coming up. So we have some big interviews coming up for the following week. We appreciate everyone's support. I know we've done about 5 interviews this week. Thanks for all our guests. We might see how the weekend works out in terms of that, and getting some other interviews out. I know people might want to listen to us break down game 3 of this series. So since we are in Alberta. We'll see how it goes. But again, I appreciate everyone's support. It means a lot that you guys follow us, you guys engage in our contests, you guys engage in the conversations, liking our content, and we appreciate that. You cannot say enough. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up there, subscribe to our platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all those places you can listen to our pod. I believe we sit top 50 in Canada for podcasts, so it's been a good week. We appreciate Nick. We appreciate Philip. Everyone's asking about Clay, Trevor, and Brody. They are still a part of the fold. They are active in the Much group chat. But you guys, if you guys seen that their schedule that these guys have for their kids, it is quite rigorous. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. So good on them to being good fathers, good husbands, and all that stuff, and just everything that they can do for their families. And thanks to you guys as well. Let's enjoy some more playoff hockey, and we will chat very, very soon. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you.